This company and this project started 18 years ago when we opened a club in Lisbon called Music Box. It's still working. It's our first project, and the idea was to program mostly music, but to have an intervention in a cultural field, both programming and working with artists. I'm a cultural manager, and that's what I like and I want to do with my life. And at that point, Music Box was an opportunity to have a regular program going on, and at the same time, it's a commercial venue, so it gives us money to start to build a team, and with the team, we can do a lot of other things. So that's how we started. At the beginning, we were 4, 5 people. Now we are 12 at our office. Of course, we are much more counting with people working in the venues. Since the beginning, Aldeia was also not to work just with music, but with other art films. For instance, I study cinema a lot, and I work I like a lot to work with cinema. So we started to do other things like documentaries for TV, other festivals, small activities. The Casa Do Captiao project started. We were asking the Lisbon municipality if they could find us a place we could rent to put up this project. Difficult, because we started this idea 8 years ago and there was not a lot of places available anymore. Real estate is taking care of everything, but then this opportunity came with this intervention that is being done here in the Beato district, and it's the changing of an old military basis into innovation and creative hub. And Lisbon Council knew a lot about us and what we do with Music Box, with our festivals, with everything, with this intervention in the city, and they decided we would be the right partners to develop the cultural center of this hub. And the conditions are very interesting at a point, but very difficult and challenging in another point. Very interesting because this place is given to us for 40 years, so 40, it's a long time, it's more than I expect to live. But at the same time, we have to pay for the whole renovation of the settlement. And we are talking about the former house of the commander of this military basis. So it was a house, 2 floors houses. In the first floor was the house of the commander. On the ground floors were the assistants of the commander, and we had to remove everything, all the walls, because we want to start to build a venue, and the venue needs space. And so removing the walls from the ground floor, everything falls. So we started a new project from scratch with an architect. So moving to this new area of Lisbon, for us, it was very important to start to think how we would interact with the people living in that neighborhood, since we feel we've been suffering a lot from a gentrification process in Caixodré, is where we have our venue Music Box, and in a way we feel a little bit responsible because it was an area that was completely empty and abandoned when we moved there, and we helped to rebuild it, and now it's more the most touristic area of Lisbon, and at a point that I consider it a dead neighborhood. It's dead because no people live there, and when people I'm not living in a neighborhood, that neighborhood doesn't exist. It doesn't have. So we suffer a lot every time that we see that Lisbon is not taking the necessary measures to avoid this kind of processes in the city. Lisbon is a very small city. In a way, so you don't have a lot of neighborhoods for people to move to. So you have it's extremely urgent that you preserve what you have and that you give conditions for people to live in the city.
So, my connection to this neighborhood is not only because I've been working here since 2010, but also because for a while I also lived. I have both views of this neighborhood. So through all the years that I have lived and worked in this neighborhood, I have been through a lot of changes. The first one, it was the beginning of people starting to occupy the several spaces that were abandoned. During almost 5 years, the place where I worked, it was Fábrica Braço de Prata. It was almost the only one that existed in the neighborhood. And since 2016, if my memory is correct, new things started to occupy and to bring new people and new habitants in the area. But it was a very organic thing because the regular and the oldest inhabitants of the neighborhood were still here, while new people were coming into the spaces. And then since 2020, more or less, another change happened in the neighborhood. So everything started to be very interesting for the real estate enterprises. And the oldest inhabitants of the place started to receive proposals to leave their houses. And also the cultural places that started to show up also had to abandon again the space, and everything went more or less abandoned again. So I saw both things happening during this time, and now I think we are again in a state of transition because we don't really know what is happening here. We don't know if the cultural spaces that again started appearing will live and for how long they will survive to this real estate speculation. And we see a lot of transformations, things being demolished, new buildings starting to get the space. And I think the main thing is the change of the kind of people that are habitating, living in this place, because we had younger community and international younger community starting to live here, that I think it's again disappearing, giving place to higher level people, if we can say this way. So if you ask for my opinion, I feel sad because this was probably one of the last neighborhoods in the city that still had some identity, where we could find the Lisboa habits with the new young generation bringing life again into the neighborhood. And now I think that all of that will again die for residences and super cool and super high priced stores and restaurants and so on. So it's not for those who want to leave the city, for the regular people with the regular wages. Is for another level.
This is a very interesting neighborhood. It was, I think it's still the poorest one in Lisbon. It's at least what the representative of the neighborhood says, and I think it is. And it's divided in two sides. There's a railroad, and there's one of the side is from the railroad till the river, and that was the place for the warehouses and the industries to be. And then on the north side, the people living, working on those industries at a place to live. So the south part closing to the river is under a huge transformation. Real estate developers are taking care of this. A lot of warehouses being transformed in apartments for rich people. So this is a process very difficult to stop. But on the north side, there's still a lot of people living, and a lot of those apartments there were constructions that were done for accessible rents. So it's not fancy apartments or very nice buildings. So I believe they will resist, and they belong to the municipality, so it's not private. It's also, thank you, really important, because if it's private, you can sell, you can transform, but they belong to the municipality. So I believe this neighborhood will have these two different atmospheres. The gentrified one, the high-class people that wants to move here, and the working-class students that lives in the north area. And the train line separates both of them, but it's the same neighborhood. So we are analyzing this situation. Of course, we want to involve all communities in our project, and when Slash project came, immediately we thought this is something we want to address, understand how then these two situations, these two realities can collaborate and not fight, you know. And the question is there a sound, a place that can unify these two different realities? And it's very interesting to be doing this, because the research for Casa do Captiao already involved some studies on the neighborhood, but being involved in this forces us to a lot of contacts with the local associations, residents, but at the same time with the companies moving here. So it's an opportunity also to practice and train these collaborations that we need in the future. So Casa do Captiao, it didn't open yet, but it was open for a pop-up intervention that was quite long, and that I think brought a very interesting experience both for artists and for audiences in what we want to do in the future. Because what we could do in this pop-up intervention is, without the technical conditions and without the size needed for a commercial intervention operation, we did the programs that we want to do in the future. And so we tested what we want to do, and in fact we managed to gather a big community around what we were doing, and I think there's a big expectation of how it's going to work in the future, and that expectation is also a big responsibility for us, because I think people expect a lot from this place, and we also and in a moment that is so difficult to have regular venues operating, grassroots venues that are close to new artists, to what comes, and venues that are close to communities. It's extremely difficult to have them operating in Lisbon, and sometimes they appear and then they disappear because they're just being allowed to use a place for 1 year or half a month. So it's for us having this opportunity to finish these works and to have a steady place to work for 40 years, it's a huge responsibility in what we could do and bring to the city. Yep.
I think that the location of the studio is reflected in the fact that the room where the studio is untreated. So even when I played acoustically, I would hear all of the sounds echo. And the other characteristic was that the place of the studio is also a place where you could hear the sounds coming from outside of construction going on. And when I thought about the bigger composition, I think it was one of the reasons that made me more immersed in the vision and in the sounds that I wanted to get out. I absolutely think that musicians have a special relationship to space and to neighborhoods, and this is primarily because of the sensitivity that they might have with sound. So I think a musician would be capable of seeing the depth of sound and how it would fall within a larger soundscape, whether that is through the poetic process of understanding the space, or whether it's on the technical level or on the creative process of using these sounds and being inspired with them in the process of composition itself.